and I hope you liked it a lot. It really is a privilege to host this conversation with the great Bong Joon-ho, winner of the Palme d'Or for his striking new film Parasite. It is most deserved. With the rare ability to combine genuine entertainment, incredible energy, and strident social critique, he is not only an international critical and festival darling, but one of Korea's most commercially successful directors, with his films attracting millions of viewers. And it is a truly great honor for us at Sydney Film Festival to have director Bong here with us to present the brilliant Parasite and to join us in this conversation. Please join me in giving a very, very warm welcome to Bong Joon-ho. Let's also give a very warm welcome to David Park of the Korean Cultural Center. So we're going to have a conversation, and I'd like to begin by welcoming you, of course, and congratulations on the Palme d'Or. Not that many, just long questions. I guess for some, the Oscars are the pinnacle of film prizes. But for me, and perhaps for some like me, the Palme d'Or is really world cinema's greatest and most prestigious prize. When you arrived in Korea, there was this massive heroes welcome at Incheon Airport. I saw the pictures, and it looked fantastic. And last night we had some drinks to celebrate that Parasite reached 8 million admissions in Korea yesterday. So I'd like to ask you what the Palme d'Or means for you and for Korean cinema.
글쎄요. 상 받은 날 하루는 술도 많이 마시고 재밌는 하루를 보냈죠. 근데 다음 날 아침에 일어나니까 변한 게 전혀 없더라고요. 영화가 바뀌는 것도 아니고. 또 다음 날부터 시나리오 썼어요. 일해야죠.
So the day I received the Palme d'Or, I did drink a lot. It was great. But the next day I woke up, everything stayed the same. The film hasn't changed since it's won the Palme d'Or, and I got back to writing my scenario. Went straight back to work.
When we spoke in Korea in October last year, I think it was, you said, I'm making this crazy film. It's so crazy.
I cannot remember.
You use stronger language than just crazy. Did you expect this kind of response for the film, this real adoration, and also such a huge commercial success very quickly?
Was it October?
October. You were waiting to shoot one final sequence.
October, yeah. At the time, I was in the middle of the editing process. The only one sequence, 그러니까 눈 오는 장면은 겨울을 이제 기다려서 찍으려고 눈 오는 샷이 하나 있잖아요. 그거 외에는 다 찍고 이제 편집할 때였는데. 예.
So that was in the midst of when I was editing my post, and there is one scene which is snowing, and I was actually waiting for real snow to fall for that scene.
근데 편집할 때 이제 감독의 마음이 되게 이상해지거든요. 그래서 이게 기분이 되게 내가 봐도 너무 잘 찍었다. 하루는 이랬다가 그 다음 날은 와 완전 엉망이구나. 이거 다 다시 찍을 수도 없고 어떡하지 이런 걸 막 왔다 갔다 해요. 여기 필름메이커 분들 많으시니까 아마 다 아실 거예요. 그 기분을. 좀 그런 상태에서 자기한테 그 얘기를 한 거야. 영화 크레이지하다고. 그 크레이지하다는 표현으로 대충 이렇게 넘어갈 수 있으니까.
The reason why I said it was crazy to you was because I was in the editing process, and during that process, my mind and the way I view the film is very frantic. 1 second I'll be thinking, wow, this shot is great, it's a masterpiece. The next day I'll look at it and say, oh my goodness, this is horrible. It's not like I can shoot this all over again. what do I do? And it is in these frantic moments that I spoke to you about the film, which is why I called it crazy.
Thank you for taking a break to see me. I'm sorry to interrupt that process. We're going to speak more about Parasite in general and take some questions from the audience a bit later. But briefly, I'd like to go back to the beginning. You wanted to become a filmmaker from a very young age. Why did you want to make films? How did you know that this is what I have to do?
이제 성격이 안 좋으면 친구가 별로 없잖아요. 친구가 없으면 이제 책이나 영화를 많이 보게 되죠. 혼자 있는 시간이 많다 보면 상상을 많이 하게 되고 그래서 어릴 때 주로 영화를 보면서 많은 시간을 보냈어요.
If you have a bad personality like me, you don't have too many friends. And what do people with friends what do loners do? They read a lot, they watch films, and they spend a lot of time by themselves, and they imagine a lot. So that's when I developed my imagination for films.
When I was a kid in South Korea, at that time there was no cinematheque in the whole country. So I always very obsessed to the films, movies in the TV. So every channel I always checked the timetable of which movie in which channel in the weekend, kind of very obsessive. Yeah.
Memories of Murder was the first film that had a big breakthrough, I guess. Went to many festivals, won prizes, 5 million admissions at home in Korea. A film much loved. It's been called the greatest serial killer film ever made, and I tend to agree. When that great success happened, were you given a blank check to make whatever you wanted afterwards? Was it much, much easier to make anything you wanted with any budget you wanted?
말씀하신 것처럼 그런 상태가 될 줄 알았는데 꼭 그렇진 않더라고요. 이게 또 여러 가지 매번 새로운 어려움이 왔었는데. 예.
I had assumed that would have happened, but it didn't. A lot of hardships came my way.
Because the next one, it was the host, it's a monster movie, creature movie. So at the time, 그런 식의 그 비주얼 이펙트를 컴퓨터 그래픽을 할 수 있겠느냐 해서 투자자들이 투자도 안 하려고 했고 정말 괴물이 나오는 거냐? 나온다. 그랬더니 너 미쳤구나. 평소 하던 걸 해라. 뭐 이런 식의 반응이 많았었어요.
When I was shooting Host, which was my next film, the VFX at the time wasn't really on par with what I wanted to achieve with the monster in the film. So people would ask me, does the monster really appear in the film? And then when he replied yes, they told him he was crazy and told him to stay with just the normal mediocre films.
실제로 그래서 투자 과정이 되게 힘들었어요. 그래서 그린라이트가 나오기까지 좀 시간이 많이 걸렸죠.
So it was very hard to get the green light on the production process to get the film rolling.
But then The Host became the biggest Korean film ever at the time. So did it make the next one easier? Did you get the blank check the next time?
그 다음 게 이제 마더라는 거잖아. 근데 그거는 이제 예산도 별로 안 커. 그리고 이제 그래서 뭐 파이낸싱 이런 건 되게 쉬웠는데 이제 그 다음은 이제 그 영화 자체가 가지고 있는 어두운 심장이라고 해야 되나? 그 주제 자체에 어려움이 좀 있었죠. 네.
Well, Mother was a low-budget film compared to Host, but so the finance was easy on that part. But the topic of the film is a little dark, so in that sense, it was a little hard.
그리고 그 영화의 스토리는 이 영화를 내가 한 10년쯤 후에 내가 더 나이를 먹고 더 이렇게 성숙, 머추어해지고 나서 찍으면 좋을 텐데 이런 생각도 했어요. 왜냐하면 마더를 찍을 때 내가 이제 이곳 기준, 그러니까 그 서양 기준으로 했을 때 39살이었거든요.
I was 39 years old when I was shooting Mother, and while I was shooting it, I personally thought maybe I should wait about 10 years when I'm a little more mature than I am to shoot this film.
근데 그 영화가 이제 어떤 그 주인공 여배우 김혜자 선생님, 그분 때문에 사실 기획하게 된 건데, 그분이 또 나이가 있으시고 해서 최대한 빨리 찍어야 되는 그런 거여서 이렇게 내 마음대로 뭐 5년, 10년 늦출 수는 없었죠. 그래서 이 영화의 어떤 깊은 주제나 이런 걸 봤을 때 좀 더 내가 준비해야 되지, 내가 좀 더 성숙해져야 되지 않을까 이런 생각이 들었지만 찍어야만 했었고 거기서 오는 어떤 불안감이 있었죠.
But taking into account the age of the main actress in the film, Kim Hye-ja, I realized that I couldn't wait 10 years for her to stick around. So I was pressed to shoot the film, and despite the deep nature of the topics, I had to push forward, and I had some self-reservations whether I could portray it as best as I could, but it was a process I was happy to do.
And you did revisit Mother some years later when you created a black and white version, which is beautiful, which we showed at the festival. Why did you do that?
Just for fun. Nice kidding, man. Because we the filmmakers 다 이게 그 흑백 영화에 대한 로망이라 해야 되니까 꿈 같은 게 옛날 그 블랙 앤 화이트 클래식 영화에 대한 어떤 꿈 같은 게 있잖아요. 그 이미 완성된 영화를 가지고 그렇게 블랙 앤 화이트로 만들면서 이제 그건 뭐 큰 예산이 돈이 필요하지도 않고 그래서 한번 해보자. 촬영 감독이랑 그 시네마토그래퍼랑 그렇게 얘기를 했었죠.
Yes, most filmmakers have a fondness for the black and white, and it is something that I really wanted to achieve with Mother. And it's not like it took a lot of budget to achieve it, so I really wanted to make that effect with the finished product.
I want to go back to Memories of Murder and the host, and the marvelous actor you worked with, then and later, Song Kang-ho, who's a tremendous actor, one who's in not all of your films, but most of your films. Tell us about your relationship with him, and why do you find a role for him in so many of your films?
7편 중에 이제 4편의 영화를 같이 했죠. 송강호 씨랑.
I shot 4 films together with Song Kang-ho of the 7 that I've done in total.
그 배우가 이제 나와 함께 한다고 생각하면 저의 어떤 마음의 상태가 되게 많이 변하고요. 제가 이제 그 되게 심한 불안 증세가 있는 사람인데 의사를 자주 찾아가고 그러지만 불안 증세가 많이 없어져요. 그분이 제 옆에서 왔다 갔다 하면은.
I suffer from a lot of anxiety, and I do actually visit the doctor for that condition sometimes. But whenever I work with Song Kang-ho, my mind is at ease, and I feel that I can really prepare for my films with a lot more ease at heart.
내가 시나리오를 쓸 때 이제 지금 이 샷을, 그러니까 이 대사를 송강호 씨가 한다. 또는 이 장면을 송강호 씨의 얼굴로 내가 찍는다라고 이제 전제를 하고 하면은 훨씬 더 자신감이 생겨요. 왜냐하면 그 사람이 이제 그 배우께서 관객들을 아주 쉽고 빠르게 제압한다고 해야 되나? 압도하는 어떤 위력이 있기 때문에 좀 이상한 장면, 또 약간 좀 기괴한 다이얼로그 이런 것들이 다 이분이 하면은 다 설득할 수 있다라는 그런 믿음이 있어서.
Even when I'm thinking of my shots, when I picture his face, when I write the scenes, I'm able to really write those scenes with ease because I have the confidence that Song Kang-ho is able to captivate the audience in a way that no other actor I've worked with can. And when I even think about the most absurd scenes, I know that Song Kang-ho can pull them off, and that is really reassuring on my part.
I always feel safe if he is between me and audience somewhere. I can hide behind him.
You said last night that when you're on set with Song Kang-ho, you don't really have to direct him. You just look in each other's eyes, and he knows precisely what to do.
Actually, we don't talk much. Not so many conversations. So just 그냥 같이 시나리오 뭐 이미 시나리오 읽었고 서로 스토리보드도 서로 뭐 같이 받고 했기 때문에 찍을 때는 그냥 오늘 저기 케이터링 밥이 뭐지?
I mean, we've seen the scenario together, we've looked over the storyboard together. So when we're in shooting, we just ask, what's for food for lunch?
And he was, of course, in your first predominantly English language film, Snowpiercer, which we played here at the festival a few years ago, and I hope many of you saw that. It's a tremendous film. Many international directors, many Asian directors have made American films, usually with limited success, I'm afraid to say. But you've made two very successful films, I think, Snowpiercer and Okja, in the American system, let's say. Is that something you'd be keen to continue in the future?
이번에 이제 패러사이트 기생충하면서 되게 어떤 편안함과 아늑함을 좀 느끼면서 찍었는데 그게 이제 뭐 미국에서 외국에서 했냐 한국에서 했냐 그 차이보다는 영화의 사이즈, 그러니까 스케일의 차이인 것 같아요. 예산에 있어서나 뭐 설국열차나 이제 옥자 같은 경우는 뭐 상대적으로 예산이 좀 컸었거든요. 근데 지금 패러사이트 같은 규모의 또는 마더 같은 사이즈의 영화가 저한테 되게 잘 맞는다라는 생각을 이번에 하게 됐어요.
When I was shooting Parasite, I felt a lot more comfortable working with this film. I don't think the issue was that whether I was shooting in America or in Korea, but just more in the sense of the budget, the scale of the budget. For Snowpiercer and Okja, the budget for those films were a lot larger than what I worked with Parasite, and I just feel that I'm more at home and more comfortable working with budgets that I used for Parasite and Baba.
Maybe sometimes in future, I really hope to make a movie like Mad Max Fury Road, but I think I'm not ready yet. So.
Maybe we change tack a bit. Many of your films can be read, or at least they're read by me, as cautionary tales about excess, whether it's human impact on the environment, the mass industry that is the meat business, and both in Snowpiercer and now in Parasite, excessive, disproportionate wealth and how that can impact a society. How closely aligned are these ideas to your personal views on politics and social justice?
뭐
Sorry, that was a
정치적인
very long question.
프로파간다나 무슨 정치적인 코멘트를 하려고 영화를 만들진 않죠, 물론. 예.
I don't make my films for propaganda or for government agendas.
물론 그 영화 자체의 아름다움을 추구하는데요. 영화 자체의 아름다움이 중요하다고 생각하고요.
I think the most important thing is the beauty of cinema, the beauty of film itself.
그렇지만 어쩔 수 없이 영화라는 게 인간에 관한 이야기이기 때문에 인간에 대한 얘기를 다루다 보면 자연스럽게 우리 그 사회나 시대의 모습이 나오게 되는 것 같아요.
But because films are about humans and they're stories about people, you just naturally come across these occurring themes.
그래서 모르겠어요. 이 창작자들은 다 어쩔 수 없이 자기가 살고 있는 시대에 대해서 얘기하게 되는 것 같아요. 설국열차처럼 뭐 미래를 그리건 뭐 과거를 그리건 간에 어쨌든 결국은 자신이 살고 있는 시대를 말하고 있기 때문에 그리고 우리가 살고 있는 시대는 자본주의 시대잖아요. 그래서 설국열차나 옥자나 패러사이트나 결국은 뭐 자본주의에 관한 얘기이기도 하죠.
And I think creatives are very bound by the times in which they live in, even for films like Snowpiercer, which talk about the future, and even films that talk about the past, are reflective of the contemporary times in which the creator lives. And we live in a democracy, and in as much as that, I think it naturally, the films that I make naturally tackle the issues that come with it.
그래서 자본주의에 대한 얘기를 어쩔 수 없이 하게 되는 것 같아요.
So I definitely talk about capitalism naturally.
그렇지만 우리가 뭐 사회가 그 무슨 책을 쓰는 건 아니잖아요. 영화 감독들. 저는 그래서 관객들이 어떤 영화 자체의 흥분, 영화의 장르적인 재미 같은 걸 느끼길 항상 바래요. 근데 이제 실컷 재밌게 보고서 이제 집에 갔는데 씻고 자려고 누웠더니 자꾸 어떤 그 영화가 뭐 말하려 했던 메시지 같은 것들이 조금씩 이렇게 잠옷 속으로 기어 들어온 듯한 이거 어떻게 번역하지? 잘 얘기해 주세요.
So I really believe that the important thing is for viewers to watch the films and take the art form for what it is. And you know, if you go home at night after watching my films and you go to sleep and some of these messages kind of crawl through your pajamas and seep into your mind, I think I've done a successful job.
So let's move on to Parasite for a while. We spoke last night about the House of the Parks serving almost as a character in the film, and as we venture deeper into the film, we discover the layers in the house that are very much reflect the story you're trying to tell about disparity and about layers of society. And it's an incredibly designed house, so perfect for what you're trying to do with the film. And I want to know whether this is an actual house or is it one of your creation?
뭐 사실 부잣집뿐 아니라 그 가난한 주인공 집과 동네 전체가 다 세트예요. 그래서 거대한 수영장, 그 풀장에 가난한 동네 세트를 다 짓고 촬영하고 마지막 날에 이제 물을 부은 거고요. 부잣집의 경우는 이제 1층과 정원을 이제 야외 세트로 만든 것이고, 지하실은 이제 별도의 사운드 스테이지에 이제 실내 스튜디오에 만든 거죠.
So the house of the Park family and the house of the poor family and that neighborhood, that's all sets. Everything was a built set. And in terms of the poor neighborhood, I built that near a swimming pool, and I poured water into that neighborhood at the end of the film, as you saw. The garden and the exterior of the house was an outdoor set that I built separately, and the basement scenes was a sound studio that I used to build that as well.
그 스노피어서 같은 설국열차 같은 경우는 이제 계급이 이렇게 수평적으로 호리존털하게 이렇게 그 가난한 자들이 이제 뒤쪽 칸에 테일 섹션이 있고 앞에 가면 이제 부자들이 있고 그런 구조인데, 이제 이거는 수직적으로, 이 영화는 이제 계급이 수직적으로 배열돼 있죠. 그래서 햇빛을 받고 지상에 있는 가족들과 반지하, 이게 한국에 있는 독특한 그 주거 형태인데, 햇빛이 들락말락하는 반지하, 그 다음에 완전 지하, 이렇게 수직적으로 나눠져 있는 상태입니다.
In the case of Snowpiercer, the class was segregated through the back and front. So the back of the train would have the lower class, and the front of the train would have the higher class. In this particular case, I wanted that to be represented in a vertical angle. And so we see in the film the half rumpus rooms, you see the basements, and then you see the upper floors in the construction of the sets.
그 반지하라는 또 독특한 형태가 있어요. 주인공 집이 이렇게 햇빛이 약간 들긴 하는데 이제 완전히 지하라고는 할 수 없고 여전히 지상에 살고 있다고 믿고 싶은 그런 독특한 주거 형태가 이제 이 주인공들의 집인데, 사실 그거보다 더 땅 밑에 완전한 지하실이 이제 부잣집 아래에 숨겨져 있는 거죠.
So the house of the poor family is actually a half rumpus, so you don't necessarily get the sense that it's fully submerged on the underground. And what that indicates to the family is that you kind of have the feeling that you are still living above ground. You are still above toward the normal plane, but something that is completely submerged underground, something that is completely in the basement, is actually found in the Park family's house.
그 지하실에 있는 남자에 대해서는 얘기를 자제해 주시기 바랍니다. 아직 영화 개봉 안 했기 때문에 스포일링을 피해서.
please refrain from talking about the man in the basement. The film has not been released yet, so I would love for you to refrain from spoiling it for other people who haven't seen it.
What man in the basement? So we'll talk about two families then. I think everything in the film is so absolutely precise. Every frame is so precise, and you storyboard the films from start to finish. But I want to know about the characterization of these two families. Each of the family members is so carefully and precisely drawn. Can you tell us about, and what I like about it very much as well, is that neither family is bad. You can say they're bad people, whereas they could be a very different way of telling this film, where either the rich family or the poor family are really bad people. They're not. They're very subtly drawn. Can you tell us about the inspiration for the families?
예, 뭐 이미 얘기를 설명을 잘 해주신 것 같은데 보통 드라마나 영화에서 뭐 쉽게 할 수 있는 선택이 뭐 좀 악당 같은 부자 나와서 뭐 되게 탐욕적이고 뭐 못된 부자들을 그거 되게 쉬운 방법인데 좀 그거보다는 좀 더 미묘하게 델리케이트하게 그려보고 싶었었고요. 네. 또 그게 우리 실제 삶의 모습하고도 더 근접하다고 봤고요.
You've pretty much explained it very well, Nashen. But I think it's very easy to just really stereotypically categorize people into sects in the sense that you can make the rich person the bad guy of the film, and you can make them look very greedy. It's very easy, but I wanted to take a more delicate approach in portraying these characters, and it's very reflective of life as well, because you never get people who are straight out bad.
그리고 뭐 이 가족들이 보면은 또 주인공 가족들, 가난한 쪽 가족들 보면은 사실은 나쁜 짓을 하죠. 뭐 사기를 치는 거고. 근데 이제 보면 그들이 가진 이상한 그 귀엽달까, 구수하달까 이런 매력 때문에 보다 보면 또 저절로 쟤네가 안 들켰으면 좋겠다. 뭐 속이고 있지만 그게 뭐 그렇게 나쁜 짓인가? 뭐 일은 열심히 하는데 뭐 이런 약간 애매한 이상한 생각을 하게 되죠. 그게 어떤 영화가 가진 위험한 어떤 매력인 것 같은데 영화라는 매체가 가진. 예.
So you can see that even in the poor family. Yes, although they do commit a crime of forgery, you do feel a strange sense of relativity from them, and you kind of find yourself rooting for them, and you kind of go, "Oh, I wish they don't get caught out for their crimes." And although they did wrong in lying, we totally don't see them in the light of. They're still working, right, in the house, and we kind of tend to support them in that sense. And I think that's it's a dangerous beauty in film, that we are able to convince people and route their minds to.
그래서 모든 캐릭터들이 사실은 다 이제 그레이 존에 있다 그래야 되나? 회색지대에 이렇게 애매하게 있는 건데, 그래서 그렇지만 어떤 악마나 악당이 없지만 그럼에도 이런 비극적인 일이 끝에 가면 펼쳐지잖아요. 그 점이 이제 우리한테 질문을 하게 된 것 같아요. 왜 이런 상황까지 오게 되는 것인가? 거기에 어떤 영화의 주제가 숨어 있다는 생각도 들고요.
And even though all these characters are in grey areas, no one is technically white or in the black area, we still have a tragedy at the end of the film. And herein lies my theme of the film. Why does that happen, even when everybody is in the grey area?
Without giving too much away, I want to speak about the last sequence of the film, the communication between two of the characters, which seems to be perhaps a fantasy sequence. And I wondered whether you intended it to be read one way or the other, as an optimistic or pessimistic view of the future.
그 사실은 되게 슬픈 엔딩이죠. 되게 마음이 갑갑해질 수도 있고 불편해질 수도 있고요.
It is definitely a sad ending. It can definitely weigh heavy on your heart.
그 집을 사겠다고 하잖아요. 근데 과연 살 수 있을까 이런 질문을 하게 되고 어제도 그 Q&A 때 말씀드렸지만 고나이 또래 청년들이 받는 월급으로 해서 계산해 보니까 한 547년 정도가 걸린다. 그 집을 사는데.
And I did mention in my Q&A yesterday that it will take about 547 years for the son to buy the house. So it is definitely a sad ending, and we do definitely have to question the reality of whether he can purchase the house.
In case of Snowpiercer, in the last part of the movie, there is an explosion and the final two children, they escape the train. So, and there is some white animal on the mountain. And I think it's very 그 희망을 말하는 건데 사이파이, 그러니까 SF 영화다 보니까 이렇게 직접적으로 희망을 노골적으로 얘기를 했던 것 같고요. 이 영화의 경우는 좀 다르게 접근해야 될 것 같다는 생각이 들었었어요.
So Snowpiercer ends with the animal on the cliff, and that definitely gives hope for a hopeful ending. But that film was a science fiction genre, so I felt that I had to do that. But for this film, I wanted to approach the ending a little differently.
이 영화도 뭔가 더 희망적인 엔딩을 만들려면 제가 충분히 뭐 그걸 쉽게 그렇게 찍을 수도 있고 여러 가지를 할 수도 있지만 그게 오히려 되게 그런 식으로 표현하고 끝난다는 게 되게 좀 무책임하지 않나라는 생각이 들었어요. 그래서 오히려 지금의 상태, 지금의 슬픔 자체를 그냥 고스란히 드러내고 끝내는 게 가장 내가 할 수 있는 최선의 방법이 아닌가라는 생각을 했었어요. 이건 우리 주변의 이야기고 우리 실제 현 시대의 이야기다 보니까.
Although I can make the film very hopeful, I could insert some scenes that could make it a very happy ending. I thought that was a very irresponsible way to finish the film. I wanted to unfurl the sadness and unfurl the trauma and tragedy of the last sequence, and in as much as that, reveal the true emotions of the characters and reflect the society now.
근데 이제 마지막에 엔드 크레딧 올라갈 때 사실 노래가 하나 나와요. 그게 그 주인공 남자애가 부른 거예요. 그 기우가. 그 작사는 제가 했고요.
And in the end credits, you might notice that a song plays. It is actually sung by the main actor Kiwoo in the scene in the film, and I wrote the lyrics for that song.
그 가사도 그 노래도 사실 그렇게 희망적이진 않아요. 그런데 이제 그 애가 계속 일을 하고 있는 뭐 이렇게 꾸역꾸역 계속 살아나가는 느낌의 노래거든요. 그래서 그게 어제 이제 밑에 잉글리시 서브타이틀이 없어서 좀 죄송했는데 그 노래가 아마 그 주인공에 대한 마지막 이미지처럼 생각하면 느낌이 약간 다를 거예요. 마음이 좀 덜 무겁지 않을까? 뭐 이런 생각.
So there wasn't any subtitles when that song was playing, which I'm a little apologetic for. But if you now go back and hear that song with this context in mind, you'll now realize that the boy is working and he is going about his day to day to work and to buy the house, and it may weigh a little less heavier on your heart.
It's like the anti-Crazy Rich Asians in a way, when the film ends. I'm always interested in this idea of aspiration in cinema, and I'm glad you made the anti-Crazy Rich Asians. We're going to take your questions in just a few minutes. You like being in Australia. You love Australian films and Australian actors, Australian directors. Why? What attracts you to Australian cinema so much?
So many great talent here, and also it's very different from other continent, the US or North America or the European cinema. Very different from that. Also, my previous movie Okja, I worked with great Australian actor Daniel Henshaw. I discovered him in the Australian movie called Snow Town when I was a jury member in Cannes 2011. the movie was so strong and powerful, and Daniel Hensher was amazing. And also, quite recently, I really enjoyed the movie The Babadook. It's a great horror movie by Jennifer Kent. I'm a huge fan of her. And also, 이 앞에 앉아 계셔서 얘기하기가 좀 너무 민망한데, 그 중학교, 고등학교 때부터 계속 어느 영화를 반복적으로 보면서 제가 영화를 공부했기 때문에 일단
And he is sitting right in front of me, so it is a little embarrassing for me to say, but even when I was in high school, I would really watch this film repeatedly to study film.
maybe not exactly, but I watched more than 27, 28 times of the Mad Max Road Warrior. I memorize almost every shot, every moment of the movie. 정말 놀라운 작품. 그리고 최근에 매드 맥스 퓨리 로드도 저나 가족들이 보면서 눈물을 흘렸죠. 정말 영화에 압도당한다는 것은 어떤 것인가. 그런 느낌.
And obviously that was an amazing masterpiece. And recently watching Fury Road, I actually cried in the cinema with my family and felt for the first time being overcome and overwhelmed by film.
And actually, when I was making Okja, our first AD, his name is PJ. He's first AD from the Mad Max Fury Road. And there was some car chase sequence, car action sequence in Okja, the two trucks. And our first AD is from Mad Max Fury Road, so he's also producer of Mad Max. So, 그러니까 나는 이제 그 카 액션이 처음이라 되게 막 고민하고 이거 어떻게 찍어야 되지 막 이러고 있는데 그 DJ 이제 퍼스트 AD께서는 이제 매드맥스를 찍다가 오셨기 때문에 아마 유치원 장난처럼 느껴졌을 거예요. 그래서 그분한테 의지해서 되게 편하게 찍었어요. 뭐 너무나 완벽하게 다 진행을 했었기 때문에.
So I was really worried about that car action chase scene, but we had PJ who worked on Mad Max Fury Road, so it was practically child's play for him. So everything was perfect, everything was aligned, and I really got what I wanted for those shots.
그래서 이 오스트레일리아 그의 어떤 영화인들, 필름메이커 덕분에 제가 옥자를 되게 무사히 잘 찍을 수 있었습니다.
So thanks to the fantastic talent here in Australia, I was able to complete my film Okja perfectly.
We'll take your questions.